Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to this week's edition of Meet the Retailers. I am your host, Stacey Mooney, and I am so thankful that you are joining us this morning. We have 3 retailer guests for you this week, just like all the weeks in the past, and I'm going to introduce them to you now. So first up, we have Alex Peeker. Alex is with Blue Martini Lounge. Alex, say good morning. Thank you for coming and joining us this morning. We have Jessica Rossi with Sport Clips. And we have Bill Uradnik with Firehouse Subs. There they are. Okay, guys, like every week in the past, you guys know the drill at this point. I'm going to ask a series of questions to our guests, and they are generously going to answer those for me and for you so we can learn more about their brands. At the conclusion of my questions, utilizing your Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, you can post questions for our guests, which we will do our best to answer for you at the end of this webinar. All right, let's get started. So Alex, I'm going to start with you. If you could just touch base or let our audience know about how you got into the commercial real estate space, and then from there talk about your present role with Blue Martini and what territory you cover, please.
Well, I kind of fell into real estate actually. I come from a long family of retail, was in retail myself, had a chain of jewelry stores that I sold way back, just when I was starting to have kids. Took about a year off, and then I had a friend that had a real estate, commercial real estate firm in Georgetown, Washington. And we're playing golf, and he said, "What are you doing with yourself?" And I said, "I don't know yet." And he said, "Do you want to come and work with me?" And I said, "Sure." So that's really how I got my start in real estate. And then about 2 years after that, joined the Taubman Company for about 11 years. Was with Westfield for about 5, and all along started really getting involved with Blue Martini. Actually, kind of a funny story. Bill Taubman came in my office one day and said to me, I was at the best bar ever last night. And we were just building International Plaza. I think you live in Tampa, Stacey,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And we said, you've got to go make a deal with them in Tampa. So that's how I met the guys. And, I have kind of been around them for 20 plus years now.
Wow. And so in your role with them today?
So I kind of wear a lot of hats. I mean, I do everything from, finding sites, negotiating deals, dealing with investors, dealing with franchisees, kind of anything they need me to do.
You're the guy, jack of all trades.
Pretty much, yeah.
So is this your first role working on the retail side then?
Yeah.
I mean, other than, of course, your own business, that your jewelry store.
I've always been on the landlord side, except with Blue.
Interesting.
So,
I guess you like it. You've been there a while.
Yeah, I do. Well, the guys are great, and they've been really good to me. And I prefer this side, and I think having been on the landlord side for so many years is a big help.
Yeah, gives you both perspectives. You know what they're going for, right?
No doubt.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, Jessica, we're going to jump to you again. Same questions for you. If you can just share with us how you got into the CRE field and more about your role today.
So I have been in the industry for about 18 years. I went to college and locally at University of Texas at Arlington, but my degree was in broadcast communication. And so a few jobs after graduating college, I ended up at this one job. I kind of just fell into it, just like Alex. And I had a great mentor there that introduced me into, I guess, commercial real estate and site selection and whatnot. And he was just a great mentor. Every day was, it was just a learning experience every single day. And I really found a passion in that. And so, again, this was like about 18 years ago. There was an opening at Sally Beauty Company, which was, to me was huge, and it still is. And so I applied and got an interview, and my mentor coached me, and somehow they hired me. And I was there for about 3 years. And that's where I really learned about the business, being a retailer, deal making, networking, working with brokers. And so I was recruited over to Sport Clips by Greg Smith, who I actually worked with at Sally Beauty. He and I overlapped for about a year, and he's been there at Sport Clips now 17 years. I've been there 15 years as of May, and then we also recruited two more people. Well, one, Shayla Fear with Sally, and one of our brokers in the Northeast, Joel Reichman. And so we've all been a family and been working together for many years. And so yeah, that was my beginning.
That's a great story. I've pestered every single one of you over the years for Retail Live. I know all those guys.
Yes.
And so what in your territory that you cover, your actual role?
So, so I'm the director of real estate, and like Alex said, I just have so many different. All of us have so many different roles and whatnot. But relating to, I guess this interview, I do work a lot with. I do manage the real estate for most of the state of Florida, Central and South Texas, and Oklahoma, Arkansas, and outside of that, I also work very closely with Greg Smith on strategizing for the growth of our overall company. We're in all 50 states. We're in Canada. When I first started with Sport Clips, we had about 210 stores. And today we're, over 1850, and we're in all 50 states in Canada. So, so we've really have been a part of that growth.
Wow, that's that's a big spread in terms of geographical locations.
It is. It seems a little random, but there is some thought behind it. We do have some corporate markets where we corporately own our stores, and so that's where my involvement comes in with Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then. But yes, I do have it. It does seem a little random.
Well, you're obviously making it work after all these years. So
I am.
Great. Okay, Bill. I know a little bit about your background, but for our audience who does not, could you share with us how you got into the business? I know you've got some really cool. Your resume is pretty impressive in terms of retailers you've worked with. Can you share a little bit about that?
Be happy to. My career in commercial real estate is 100% by chance. When I decided to go back for my MBA, living at home, I was working at a small chain of restaurants. It was only 4 locations at the time, Hops Restaurant Bar and Brewery in Tampa Bay, and fell in love with the concept, fell in love with the people, and was pestering the president and the owner. They used to come in frequently, that I wanted to stay with them after I graduated. Started off in special events, and then lo and behold, one day in 1997, the president called me into his office, and he said, "Bill, you're doing a great job where you're at, but I really think we could use you in real estate." And I said, at the time, I was 100% company guy, pretty much always been a very loyal company guy. And I said, Tom, I'd be happy to do whatever you need me to do, but I don't know the first thing about real estate other than I know what I like in a house. And he said, "You don't have to worry about that. I'd rather take a hops man and teach him real estate than take a real estate man and teach him hops. And nobody knows hops better than you." And of course, he included himself. But so that's what started. Yeah, 23 years later, here I am, and I've been very blessed. Hops was very much a family environment. When I was there for the 7 years I was there, I had a great mentor in John Carmichael. He was the vice president of real estate. That's where I cut my teeth and learned the business. We all can look back on certain mentors in our lives, obviously. And then I was very blessed to work with Nick Voinovich. Nobody in Tampa or Florida, for that matter, probably the Southeast, doesn't know the name Nick Voinovich. I was his right-hand man with franchising. I helped him with franchising and real estate at Beef O'Brady's for 6 years. And then my wife and family and I moved to the Atlanta area back in 2011, and shortly after I joined another family company, Firehouse Subs, and I've been with this brand since 2013.
Wow. And so your role there today?
Sure. I'm the senior real estate manager. We have 3 real estate managers. My territory encompasses pretty much, I do like a dot. If you start kind of just east of New Mexico up to St. Louis to just under DC, that's the third of the country that I cover. But I also cover Ontario. I've been with the company, and since we've opened our first location to now, we have over 33 locations there. So I've been a part of the team on that. So I do, obviously site selection, lease review. We're 100% franchise driven, except for our Jacksonville market, Northern Florida market. So I don't cover that part. That's Kristen Akel, our director of real estate. But we're also involved in the renewal inspections because we're a mature brand, especially in the Southeast. So when franchisees are up for renewal, I'm involved in that as well.
That's a big role. You guys all have quite a bit on your plate, sounds like. That's great. Okay, so we're going to jump into talking about, units, volume, in terms of number of units that you have, how many units you're looking to grow, say in the next 18 months. And I'm going to go back to you, Alex. If you could just share a little bit about the brand in terms of when Blue Martini started, how many units you have today, and maybe how many units you're kind of looking to grow by in the next 18 months, and then any, areas of particular interest for you guys today.
Sure. So we started over 20 years ago. We only have 8 units. I'd say in the last 3 years, we've really concentrated on remodeling stores and closing actually a couple that were at the end of their leases. And we've signed a deal in Atlanta that's opening any day now. It was ready. I guess it's good timing. Store was finished right before COVID hit.
Wow.
So we've just been holding off on opening. We signed a lease in Oak Brook in Chicago to open probably late next year. And we're actively looking for new stores in Florida. Tampa would be number 1 on our list for sure. We're in Tampa for 15 years, and really the only reason we didn't renew that store, the Taubman companies, I guess I would know since I worked there 11 years. Not an easy company to deal with. Once they decide to go to—
You're referring to your International Mall location, just for those.
Yeah. Yep. And once they decide to go in a different direction, making a renewal deal is just impossible. But we had 15 great years there. We did over $100 million in International Plaza. So Tampa is very high on our list. Delray is very high on our list as well. Those are really the 2 stores we'd like to do in the next couple of years in Florida.
When you said you have 8 units, does that contemplate Oak Brook and Atlanta, or are those?
No, that's not. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be at 10. You're basically at 10 once those open.
Exactly.
Okay. I think we covered all those questions. Did I get to? Yeah. Okay. Making sure you answer everything that I asked you.
We're a long ways from 1,800.
Yeah. So I bet you're going to get a lot of site submittals in Tampa. I just off the top of my head, I'm going. So
we're pretty Tampa specific. We'd like to stay around West Shore for sure. I think downtown is coming up, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
Bill and I have ideas for you, right? Right, Bill?
Bring him.
All right. Okay, Jessica, we're going to bounce over to you. I know, forgive me, I know you mentioned, I think you said you have 1,850 locations now, thereabouts.
Correct.
So if you could just, kind of reiterate how many units you have now, how many units. I think it's interesting. We talk a lot about how many units folks were like, their goal was pre-COVID versus post-COVID, and how that's adjusted or shifted. If you want to maybe touch on that a little bit, that would be
sure.
great.
So like I said earlier, we are in all 50 states. That includes, Alaska and Hawaii, and we're also in Canada as well. And our overall strategy or goal is to open about 100, 125 stores a year. So we were at about 1850 or so right when COVID hit. And unfortunately, we all suffered, the same, where there was a period of time where every single one of our stores was closed. I mean, it was pretty dramatic, and none of us really, could predict what the future would hold. As of today, we have 93% of our stores reopened. And in the time period during COVID, we have opened 10 stores that were already in the pipeline, obviously. And two of those in Florida, one in Naples and the other in St. Cloud, Orlando area. And so we are, we're trying to get back business as usual. We have to be sensitive to we are franchise driven primarily. So we do have to be sensitive to their needs. But, as everybody knows, these deals, we work so hard there's just a lot of time. So we do have a lot of sites that are in the pipeline. That's really what my point is. And so right now it's hard to really predict what the future holds with this COVID. However, I just was told this morning that New Jersey is going to reopen on Monday. So that's going to be huge for us as well, because we have a quite a bit of presence in New Jersey. So that 93% will definitely shoot up. And again, we're looking all over in the state of Florida. We are franchise driven. I have franchisees in South Florida, Southwest Florida, Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa, North Florida. Everyone is, always looking for the best pieces of real estate.
And outside of Florida, where are some of the other markets that you guys are really thriving in or looking to grow?
We're driving everywhere. We have over 400 franchisees. And so when you come into the Sport Clip system, the idea is, or the overall business plan is to buy a minimum of a 3-pack, meaning the idea of ultimately opening 3, and then if not more. We have plenty of franchisees that have, they're multi-unit owners. And so with that in mind, we're constantly, we optimize every single market to make sure that, the licenses match, the opportunities, and we have to also project that into, the future, what we anticipate as far as real estate growth. And because we have such a great, process of layering franchisees, we're always looking for sites where in any given market, coast to coast.
Got it. Well, that's good. We like hearing that. I just want to clarify real quick. So I know you mentioned you have some corporate stores, but in terms of your growth there, would you say it's all franchise driven, or will you be adding any corporate locations?
So our corporate markets include Austin, the Austin, Texas market. That's where we started back in 1993. Las Vegas, most of Oklahoma, most of Arkansas, and that's what we have right now. But we are always looking for, we have about 70 stores out of that 1850 or so number. And, we're always looking for real estate as well, but we're both franchise driven, and we also have corporately owned stores, but we're primarily franchised.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right, Bill, you're up. Okay. Let's talk about how many units Firehouse Subs has today, how many you're looking to grow by, kind of what your growth plan looks like over the next, say, 18 months to 2 years.
Sure. And I'll give everybody a heads up that's listening on the call. I'm going to give some specific Florida targets for us. I'll give specifics. I was told to not only mention markets, but sub-markets. Obviously, for us, we think all of our markets are sub-markets. At least we hope so. Pun intended.
Well, keep in mind, there's a lot of people on here that aren't just from Florida, so you can talk.
I understand. So I'm going to give Florida specific, and then anybody obviously beyond here, that area, certainly can reach out to me or ask a question by all means. But as far as a brand, we have just under 1,200 locations nationwide, including Alaska, Canada, which is Ontario based. We're only in that province currently. And we have Puerto Rico. We have 8 locations in Puerto Rico as well. We have just under 40 locations that encompass the corporate locations in Jacksonville, Ocala, Gainesville. That's the corporate territory. And as far as our openings for this year is really hazy. You know, that crystal ball is a little hazy. I think we were targeting somewhere in the 60 to 80 range, but you know, obviously no openings during COVID. Towards the last month, we've had probably 6. So it's the faucet's being turned back on, which is great. And then as far as the markets, if I could, I just real quick, it's only like 10. In Orlando, we're looking in Deltona off I-4. Lake Buena Vista, that would be based on the fact that that interchange is being, our current location is being taken over by DOT. So we're looking for a relocation option for our Lake Buena Vista location. Waterford Lakes, Claremont, specifically the Four Corners, where I-192, 127, Starkey Ranch, Trinity area, Waters and Anderson, off the Veterans Expressway in Tampa Bay, West Bay, Largo area. Tyrone Square has been a target of mine since I've been with the company. Sarasota, Bradenton, South Lakewood Ranch, either State Road 70 or University Parkway, but we want to be east of 75. US Highway 41 somewhere in Sarasota, probably north or south, mostly north of the Sarasota Square area. Naples, Airport Pulling, and Pine Ridge. And then in Broward Dade, really our focus is Deerfield Beach, the US 1 area. So I didn't want to get too specific, but I figured folks would want to know that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're smart to, you utilize the time to see what deals we can drum up. I guess that's the point of all of this, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Would you say with respect to just the country as a whole, or I guess even in your case with Ontario, that there are other markets that are really kind of hot for you guys that you'd like to see more units added?
Well, yeah, Ontario is, it's funny. Ontario is extremely hot for us. Our model incorporates area representatives, which is almost like a regional corporate headquarters. They oversee everything from bringing franchisees, onboarding, to training, to site selection and development, so to ongoing brand standards. So that group up there, very active and aggressive. We'll probably do 8 to 10 locations there this year. The Southeast continues to be a market, even though it's more infill. Obviously we have so many locations in Florida, and of all the markets I mentioned to you, I just listed only about 10 that we're actively pursuing because we have such great penetration in the state of Florida. Texas is an area that's very strong for us and continues to grow. And the West Coast. I think our growth needs to be strong there. We need to increase our marketing efficiency and effectiveness in that market as well.
Gotcha. Well, we literally just got a text from somebody saying they need some West Coast love. So you just satisfied that request without us even having to say anything. So Greg Aguirre, you're welcome. Greg, by the way, is our awesome sponsor for this episode with Capital Rivers Commercial out of Sacramento. So he's, I'm sure, happy to hear that. So thank you, Bill. Okay, so we're going to jump in and talk about site criteria. And of course, I'm going to go back to you, Alex. If you can just talk about what the quote unquote perfect Blue Martini looks like with respect to the actual space configuration, and then touch on, any specific demographic requirements that you guys like to see. We would love to hear that from you.
So, we've typically so far got into what I call high-end lifestyle centers, or shopping centers for that matter. But Atlanta and Chicago will be our first standalone sites. We've never done that in our 20-year history, so we'll see how that works out. We've been very successful by being surrounded by high-end restaurants mostly. So Capital Grills of the world, Del Frisco's, Brios, et cetera, et cetera. We don't compete with any of them, and obviously there's there's 5 or 6 restaurants around us. It really feeds us terrifically. Hotels, convention centers are all good for us. Tourist markets, of course. We like, we like having regular customers, but we also like the people that come in 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights a week, or whatever. Our ideal location in terms of size, we're pretty flexible. We like to have somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 square feet indoors. Patio is really the key for us. If we really need a minimum between on the roof, and I think all of you, I think Stacy, you've seen our stores. We've got an outside bar that's usually covered, plus what I call an umbrella field, which is uncovered. So all together, patio outdoors, about 2,500 square feet minimum. So for grand total of somewhere around 8,000 feet. Valet parking is important. About 50% of our customers valet. Demographics, we tend to skew older. We're not the beer, what I call the beer and shot crowd. We're definitely more the martini crowd. Average customer, I would say 40s and up, or mid 30s and up is usually a great customer for us. We like being in. We've always done, the reason we've done shopping centers as well. Everybody feels pretty safe. So the girls come out for girls' night out on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, and everybody feels safe going there. We've always kind of been this safe bar. So I think that's about covers it.
That's interesting. So would you say you skew more towards female customer?
If
the females were there, then the males come. We all know this.
Yeah,
Right?
I think we tend to cater more to the female customer than to the male customer. Correct. Us guys are much easier to please than you girls.
I think that Jessica and I take issue with that comment, but we will save that for another time. So would you say that? I mean, obviously, I think you like to be around other restaurants because they go and dine somewhere and then follow up with cocktails after or what have you. Right. Okay.
Yeah, well, the interesting part too. I mean, we've done a lot of deals next to Capital Grille. If you talk to John Martin, the president of Capital, he'll tell you that his numbers will typically go up about 5 to 10% if we're next to him as well. So it goes both ways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some people start happy hour there and then go have dinner. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Very interesting. And so, do you think that going forward, I suppose you're going to say that you have to wait and see, but do you think your approach going forward will be the freestanding?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think these specific markets lend themselves to that well. Buckhead in Atlanta is it's a tremendous restaurant market, kind of all over the place. And, we're lucky enough to find a great, freestanding site. That one,
I'm impressed. That's a tough market to find a site.
I gotta tell you, it took me about 3 years to find one. The Atlanta market is funny because, Buckhead back in the day used to be all bars and nightclubs. And then the mayor shut everything down and took away everybody's liquor licenses because there were so many issues. And I think about half the landlords in the Buckhead market, if you're a bar, they won't even talk to you. So by the end, it's about half the real estate right there.
Yeah.
It was a tough market. Took us time, but we got it done.
Well, I'm going to look forward to hearing from you on how that opens.
It'll be interesting.
Okay, Jessica, let's talk about site criteria for Sport Clips, what you guys are looking for in terms of size, type of shopping center that you like to go into, maybe the demographic makeup, if you will, of your customer, please.
So we go into anything from a power center with lots of retail synergy with, your big boxes, your super centers, Walmarts, Targets, and surrounding retail. We also like to be anchored by dominant grocers in every market. And then we also go into strip centers that have great visibility, access up on the road, so long as we have strong national co-tenants. So we go in all three types. It just really depends on the type of market. You know, if it's a market where we have a lot of brand recognition already, then we'll do the infill with the neighborhood centers. But ideally, when entering a market, we like to be in, you know, the high retail synergy markets. As far as site criteria goes, we're about 1,000 to 1,400 square feet with a minimum frontage of 15 feet of frontage. We typically have about 8 stations and 4 shampoo bowls in our actual stores, with the lobby with the widescreen TV that can be seen from the parking lot. Our core customers are, of course, men and boys. You know, that's who we are. We do haircuts for men and boys. And as far as the demographics go, you know, I think the most important thing might be just moderate to higher income areas is what we target most, just because our haircut prices are typically, you know, $1 or $2 higher than traditional competition. And so we're looking for that customer that's, you know, willing to upgrade to our MVP services, which include, you know, a haircut, the shampoo with the massage, the hot towel treatment, the back massage. It's really all about the experience for our clients. And so those are the types of areas that we're looking for: high retail synergy, moderate to higher income, and in a nutshell, that's what we look for.
Men.
And men,
So
lots of men.
I'm curious, based on something you just said. So with the kind of added services that you do for your customers, what is your like average customer's time in the store as compared to your competition? Because I know, like, we had Nate Omi on with Great Clips, and he talked about they really get people through. I would imagine that that's not so much the case for you guys.
Well, we try to find a balance. You know, we're in the business of doing hair, but it's really more about the experience. So as far as time goes, I think the average would probably be about 20 minutes. We still want to be respectful of our clients' time, but we want to do as much as we can during that time with, you know, the all-star haircut, the you know, the massage and the hot
I was
towel.
going to say, if I was there for the massage, I'd be like, can I get the 20 minutes for the massage? And then
Well, we do offer double MVPs, and so you can, you know, you can upgrade to have that extra service. But yeah, it's really about the experience for our customers too. And then of course, while they're getting their hair cut, you know, they're watching sports, and you know, they're surrounded by other, you know, other males getting their hair cut. And so,
see, Alex, you guys are not easy. We don't understand that at all. I mean, okay, thank you, Jessica.
welcome.
Okay, Bill, let's talk about your site criteria, what you guys are looking for today. I'm curious if you're trying to add more drive-throughs like a lot of our past guests, or just share with us a little bit about what you guys are looking for in terms of site selection.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because kind of a two-tiered approach in talking about our desired real estate. We have noticed since I've been with the company, it's kind of been a steady, gradual decline in dine-in business for us. So we are seeing the importance of a larger dining room not really being necessary. So when I first started, I think our range that we had maybe on our real estate flyers that we gave out at ICSCs and Retail Live and shows like this was 1,800 to 2,000 square feet. But now our sweet spot is probably 1,400 to 1,600, and the occasional 1,800. Obviously, we're keeping in mind that we're trying to be very sensitive to obviously total occupation costs. So occupancy costs, and we are, you know, hopeful that if anything good comes out of COVID, that maybe the market softened a little bit, and we'll be able to see some better numbers out there. But and our minimum frontage is 20 foot of frontage, and we only consider out parcel retail. You know, the three main tent poles that we look for is, obviously, it's going to be a shock to everybody that hears this, but visibility, access, and parking. And parking will be commensurate with our co-tenancy. If we're there with Mattress Firm and AT&T, then, you know, probably 25, 30 parks is great. But if we're there with Starbucks and Chipotle, then 30 is nowhere near enough. So that's a flexible number there. Also would tell you that we are aggressively pursuing what some other folks might consider sub to the sub markets. We've had very good success going into underserved markets. One example would be Vidalia, Georgia, just recently opened as a freestanding drive-through location, and had our record first week opening sales. So that's a market that saw that as a very special event, and we're very excited to see us there, and the numbers have held rather well since its opening. And I guess that segues nicely to answer your question. Are we looking for drive-throughs? Absolutely. But we know the competition for that is pretty fierce. So that's still not a requirement, but definitely that's a preference if possible. And yeah.
What about any type of, I didn't really ask, or I guess Alex kind of touched on this and Jessica did in a roundabout way, but what do you look for in terms of co-tenancy? Anybody that really you feel like if they're there, I want to be there?
Yeah, you know, our customer, unlike Alex's, at Blue Martini, our customer does skew a little bit more male. We don't have as many soccer moms as perhaps a Chick-fil-A, but it's a little bit skewed towards male. And so Home Depot, Lowe's, and the Walmart, Targets, the necessity big box definitely do help. But the other thing that we really enjoy and almost require is synergy of other food brands. Some folks may say, no, we want to have the market to ourselves. But we see the kind of the food court, quote unquote, mentality where folks are already kind of, it's, like we talked about International Plaza at Tampa, people don't necessarily pick a location before they go there. They just say, let's just go to International Plaza. We'll figure it out when we get there. So that's the synergy we want. We don't want folks already going there for their lunchtime or dinner time dining occasions.
That makes sense. I mean, we do that all the time in my house. It's like, we'll just head down to, university, and there's tons of stuff there. We'll just figure something out when we get down there. What about, I know you mentioned that you're kind of adjusting your size based on, not dining room not being utilized as much, which I think is an interesting point. Like I've noticed that just in like getting food for my kids and stuff, people are definitely, and obviously now even more so, taking food and leaving and what have you. How does that affect, if at all, your desire to have outdoor seating or a patio? Are you going to swap a little bit of that? And obviously in light of, I swore we weren't going to talk about COVID, but I'm going to say the word
patio yeah, we're always going to see patio as a plus. No question about it. Therefore, end cap is a plus. Again, we don't say no to inline. If you have a space that's available, meets our requirements as far as being up in that out parcel, the visibility. But that's definitely a plus. The patios, even if people aren't sitting there, do draw attention. Hey, there's a restaurant there. But the other thing I'd mention is during COVID, what's really been our saving grace is our franchisees' ability to pivot and to really be very nimble in how they satisfy customers' preferences. And one of our life saving tools was our Rapid Rescue to Go. It's on our app. Folks place their order. It's waiting for you at the front. You pay online. By the time you drive there, it's ready to go. So it saved you that as much, personal interaction, so you could feel safe. Third party, obviously, as you can imagine, went way up for us during COVID. But all in all, the dining room's not going away. That's for sure. It's just, we're just trying to configure what our customer wants, and it's a convenience play. You want to be able to pick it up, take it, and go.
Right. Makes total sense. And we're all learning how to use these third-party delivery systems and curbside pickups and all that, which I'm sure, again, COVID is kind of excelled that learning curve for many people. So I'm sure that's affecting obviously dining room usage and will in the future. And now that we've all been trained, whereas before a lot of people I think just didn't even bother to use it or know it existed. So makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about for our audience and the folks that watch this recorded episode on our website. They're going to want to know where they submit sites to you. We have guests that say, I want it to go through my broker. I need it screened. I get too much volume and I can't keep up. And then we have folks that are like, no, I want it to come through me so we can run our data and then fire it to the broker. So Alex, I'm curious, with all the many hats that you wear, I assume, well, I guess I should first ask you, do you guys utilize brokers?
We do. In Florida, I work with Gary Brodus, who's based in Boca.
Yep.
Gary, yeah. And, typically in most markets, I will use a local broker just because I think it's important, especially with us, site requirements are not easy. So knowing about spaces that are not necessarily outwardly available is a big help to me for sure. And unless, what I know a lot of different markets, unless you're in the market day in and day out, you can't possibly know these things. Mm-hmm. So as far as submissions, I mean, I'm happy if somebody just calls me on the phone or sends me an email, or I'll respond to everything. Whether I like
You're our favorite kind of retailer, Alex.
Well, it's not, I mean, I understand, somebody like Jess or Bill that has, so many stores, it's hard to respond to absolutely everybody. But for me, it's not
right.
It's really not that much work. Right. So, happy to pick up the phone. Gary's very available in Florida as well. So yeah, real easy.
Okay, so they can send it to you or Gary or your other brokers in the other.
Absolutely.
Great. I'm going to ask you this because I ask every week, and I think it's kind of fun. We've gotten some funny answers. Do you have any pet peeves on site submittal? You don't have to, but
not really. I'm going to say this. I do not like people that just know nothing about our concept, but kind of just throw sites out there. Mm-hmm. Hey, we'd love to have you, brew martini in North Dakota.
Right.
You got to make a minimum amount of sense.
That really has been the overwhelming, I would say, and consistent message from the retailers has been, I mean, literally all the way back to Jody Recall Chipotle, episode 1, saying, please know who I am and what meaning the brand, before you just email blast me and 50 other retailers and do your homework. I think that message has been said over and over again. So
I mean, it doesn't take much if you're on the landlord side to look at your shopping center or look at your site and say, all right, who's good for this, and do a little bit of research. It's not that much work.
Right. Well, I'm sure we're all listening, right, everybody? Okay, Jessica, let's talk. You have a decent sized territory. Do you prefer that sites go through you, or do you want them kind of funneled through your broker and then kicked up to you once they've kind of met some initial criteria? Or how do you like to see sites submitted?
I don't have a preference. Actually, I work with very great, strong brokers in all of my markets. I trust them. I sit behind a desk in Texas, so I do rely on my brokers quite a bit. I do travel to Florida, pretty often, and I know our markets, but as far as site submittals, it doesn't matter. I do like emails with attachments. I do love when in the subject line you have the city and state. Somehow my email address is out there across the United States, and so filtering those that actually apply to me in my territory, kind of one of my little pet peeves is I'd like to know real quick right off the bat what city and state. But outside of that, I don't really have a preference. I do like to get all of the data at once. Maybe I like it when rent, triple net, size, delivery, timing, that kind of information is part of the email. It helps me kind of analyze the entire situation, including economics, right off the bat. I do have, franchisees in each market that I prepare these packages for and work with them. And I'd like to give them, a whole story when I do approach them about, some of these sites. But as far as sending sites directly to me or to the broker, I don't have a preference because I work very, very closely with each of my brokers. And so we're in constant communication with each other. They make their way to me one way or the other.
I think that I love that you said to put the city and state in the subject line, because I mean, obviously I'm not a retailer, but we all have had the fun task of trying to find an email that, has like some just generic subject line. It makes it hard to find. So in that respect, probably makes it easy for you if people would just adhere to that, to hone in on those cities and states. That's a great suggestion. I'm actually going to put that into practice in my own.
Well, and one more tip too. I love when I get phone calls as well, and I wish that in the first, 10 seconds that they tell me which city and state. Somehow my phone number is out there. And so, they tell me all this long story about their site and ends up being in Idaho or somewhere.
Right.
Somewhere
Resale
else.
Lease Track is why your email and phone number are out there. I'll bet you. Okay, Bill. Just curious what your thoughts are on that. Anything in particular you like to see in terms of site submittal? So hopefully we can help our participants get to you what you need and get some feedback.
Sure. Well, I'm very much a believer that it takes two to tango, and I really respect the roles that folks are, the leasing reps, the developers, the brokers out there. So listen, I couldn't do what I do without you guys. So that being said, I do appreciate all you, but there's literally, Alex already alluded to this, there's literally no way I can respond to every email. That would take up my entire day. To say I'm not interested, we've already got a location, not a target market. So just know that if that's a market that we're targeting, you will get a reply from me. But if you don't get one, I still want you to be sending me sites, because without you, my job's a lot harder. And that kind of alludes to the fact that I've got great brokers. I'll just mention quickly the ones in Florida. We've got Janet Galvin in the Orlando Metro, East Coast, East Coast of Florida. We've got Brandy McAdams, and working with her is Andrew Fox in Tampa Bay and most of the West Coast. And we also have Michael Bihar in Broward Dade. So I'm very blessed to have tremendous folks representing our brand out there. But you certainly can send it directly to them. But I like to see the sites too. And as far as what I like to see in the emails, yes, information on the location, the area is very helpful. I love to see a marketing flyer that has a full site plan that shows me the parking. I don't have to guess. And as far as kind of the quoted rent and triple nets, like Jessica already got into, is helpful as well.
Do you like to see where your competition is? I know that's kind of come up. Does that help you? People are submitting sites to just see it at a glance and know where everybody's at.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of the better, I think, marketing flyers do have like the big explosion view of where, Chick-fil-A, all of the fast casual, fast food, as well as retailers are located on the aerial map. That, I think that's a great item to have as part of the marketing flyer. I will tell you, kind of alluding back to a previous question, we don't shy away from our direct competitors as far as Jersey Mike's, Jimmy John's. We feel like we have the best sandwich in out there. We're very proud of what we offer. So that doesn't bother us. So that wouldn't make us shy away from that area. Because we do, like I said before, we do like that food synergy.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, so here we are. We find ourselves with 10 minutes left, which it goes by so fast. So I want to give each of you the opportunity to speak on your brand, anything that we haven't covered today that you might want to share with our audience. I don't want to, put you on the spot. You don't have to come up with something if we've done a good job of covering it, but I want to give each of you the opportunity to kind of add anything, any color to our discussion this morning before we move on to some questions from our audience. So Alex, is there anything you would like to add about Blue Martini or anything else for that matter? Keep it PG though.
I think we've pretty much covered it. For those of you that don't know us, we're really a live entertainment bar. Live entertainment is a big part of our concept. We have 3 bars in each of our units, outside bar, what we call a VIP bar, and a stage bar. We're a great complement to high-end restaurants everywhere. We're a good neighbor, and we pay good rents.
Now you got everybody's attention with that
Right?
one. So I guess I assume, obviously I know you have a Naples location. You were at International in Tampa. You've mentioned Buckhead. So it's safe to say that and given what you just said about the live entertainment and everything, it's safe to say that you're really looking for major cities for locations. You're obviously not going kind of beyond like metro areas, right?
Right. Major markets, really. I mean, we need volumes. Our locations are very capital intensive. It costs us anywhere from $3 to $5 million to open one. We are really looking next markets. I would say probably Houston, Texas. We would love a unit in Palm Springs. You had somebody from California on there, so.
There you go, Greg. California again coming up.
I think Palm Springs will be a terrific market for us, not dissimilar to Naples, for that matter. And really any other major markets. We're really corporate driven in Florida and more franchise driven everywhere else.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Jessica, anything else that you want to share about Sport Clips? Wait, I have one question for you. Do you wear a cowboy hat like Gordon does?
I do not.
I met your founder at a location in Austin, Texas, that I actually leased 4 or 5 years ago, and I couldn't believe it. He showed up in his hat, and I was like, "Wow, he's really here." That was a cool experience.
You won't go anywhere without it, but he's fantastic. What I want to say about Sport Clips is that, Gordon Logan is our founder and CEO, and we here at Sport Clips, we live by very strong values of do what's right, do your best, and treat others the way they want to be treated. And we handle every aspect of our business that way. When it comes to, our treating our stylists, our clients, we're just a great fit for a center, especially with our dedication to excellence, as far as, everything that we have in our stores designed to have a great experience for our clients. When it comes to, just walking in, we have what's called a 5-point play, which includes, the greeting, strategizing for what kind of haircut you want, what kind of experience you want, educating our clients on, products and whatnot, just making sure that they leave happy. So we're always looking for A+ real estate. If anyone ever has questions, pick up the phone, call me, email me. I've been here for 15 years. I'm not going anywhere. It's a great family and a great addition to your shopping centers.
And Jessica,
and one more thing I want to say.
We're just talking about trying to reduce some of the volume of calls since your phone number's out there everywhere, and there you go.
Well, if you're in Florida, call me.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead since I'm just with you, and then I'm going to jump to Bill. But
Sure.
One of the questions from our audience was, how you respond to, well, more like how they respond to you, full service salons. I would imagine you, in most cases, can coexist, and even if they have an exclusive, you're able to work around that.
That's an excellent question, and I'm so glad that Bill touched on this earlier. We as a brand, we feel like we can coexist. You know, our focus is men and boys, and that's what we do. That's what we're great at. We don't encourage, we don't discourage women. So when it comes to full service salons, even other traditional competition, we feel like our service is just top notch, and we can coexist with full service salons, other traditional competition.
So like Supercuts, Great Clips, whatever, you would go into a center with them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And how are they in response? Are they willing, like if they're there first, do they generally sign off on letting you in?
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask them. And it is a double-edged sword too. Yeah. Like when we're in a center first. However, again, our focus is men and boys, and we feel that there's, enough business out there for us to coexist peacefully.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, Bill, anything you want to add about Firehouse Subs that we haven't covered here this morning?
Sure. Just real quick, I told you the market I cover. The upper Midwest and the Northeast is covered by a gentleman by the name of Bob May. All of our email addresses are first name dot last name at firehousesubs.com. So Bob May, if you're in the Midwest or the Northeast, and pretty much anything West Coast is Jim O'Keefe. There is an apostrophe, but not an email address, obviously. It's jim.o'keefe, OKEEFE at firehousesubs.com. So if you want to reach out to us individually, please do, and look forward to hearing from you. As far as what I'd like you to know about our brand, if you've seen our commercials over the last year or so, you see that our sub saves lives. It's not just a slogan; it's a reality. We started our Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation after Hurricane Katrina devastated the Panhandle and New Orleans. So ever since then, we've been very focused on raising funds through numerous activities and ways. At our restaurants, you should be asked if you want to round up, and that goes towards our first responders, our firemen, our police officers, our EMTs. We have done events with Wounded Warriors. So it's a great foundation. We're very proud of it. If you've ever met or know our founders, Robin and Chris Sorensen, they are firemen. They were firemen in their lifetimes, and very huge personality, Robin Sorensen. So he's all about giving back, and to date, we're over $54 million given back to our first responders. So we're very proud of that. And I wanted everybody to know that.
Wow, that's incredible. I knew that it was started by two firemen. I remembered that from many years ago, but wasn't aware of your foundation. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. You guys, we're out of time. Boo. So I want to thank all three of you for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure getting to know more about your brands, and actually more about the three of you, things that I didn't know, even though I, of course, have heard your names, all three of you, over the years. But so thank you for taking your time this morning to visit with me, and of course with our audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you who have joined us this morning, and special thanks to Greg Aguirre and his team at Capital Rivers Commercial. They're an awesome group of not just brokers or full service firm. They're based in Sacramento, but they work all over the country. If you're looking for some help in the real estate side, I'd encourage you to check them out at capitalrivers.com. And Greg is on LinkedIn, Greg Aguirre, Aguirre. So thank you to our sponsor, and thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Those spec sheets will be going out to you this afternoon, right, Erica? I hope she's listening. If they don't come out this afternoon, they'll be to you by Monday. She says yes, guys. So be looking for that from Erica Darling for the site criteria, contact information for all of our guests. You will receive that email today. I do want to let you guys know that we are going to be taking a little break from our Meet the Retailers webinar series starting next week. And that is because we have our first ever virtual Retail Live on July 1st, and we need to get ready for that. All three of our guests are going to be actually participating in that conference, and I hope you will join them. You've got 1 week left to sign up. You can do so at retaillive.com, and you will have the chance to network with retailers one-on-one. We have over 50 participating retailers. You can check out those retailers at retaillive.com where they are listed. I hope you will join us. And that is it for today. Everybody have an awesome weekend. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks so much.